What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me. If you're back for another one, I appreciate your support. Make sure you're subscribed. If this is your first time, take a second to subscribe down below. If you like all things EDC, you like guns, gears. Also, we take prayer requests on this channel. So if all those things interest you, subscribe down below. We do from guns to gear reviews. Also, every now and then we'll do two-way information, because it's not just important to be armed and trained, also important to be informed so you can win the battle of the minds as well. So thank you for joining me. Today we got a good one. As you can probably tell by the thumbnail and by the shooting footage, we're going over this girl you see here, the most loved, the most hated, and the most talked about pistol of all time, arguably, the Glock 19. This is a variant of the Glock 19, though the Glock 19X. So this is a special edition of the Glock 19. So let's head on down to the tabletop, see what she's all about. It's a 9mm pistol. So here she is, guys, the ever controversial Glock 19. The one people love to hate and hate to love, but everybody's talking about her. So
me? Mike. What day is it, Mike?
From first looks, this is the Glock 19X. As you can tell, this is not the standard Glock 19. This is what they call a crossover edition, and we'll explain why. As you can see here, it's the 19X. As many of you know, it's got this standard peanut butter chocolate color that everybody likes to call coyote, FDE, all that good stuff. So let's go over this thing. The reason it's called the 19X and the reason it's a crossover, it's a hybrid model, because it has the slide of a Glock 19, standard Glock 19, but it has the frame of a 17. So you get the longer frame, you get the increased capacity, but you get the more compact slide, which is easier to carry, conceal, stuff like that. And this was also made for the military. It started by being produced for the military, but now this is mass produced for any civilian to purchase, to own. So let's go over this specific model and we'll talk about it from front to back. We'll show the differences. We'll show stuff like that. So as you can see here, starting off from the top, you got the standard Glock 19 slide there. This one does not have serrations on the front, but it does have the standard Glock serrations on the back. As you can see there, standard Glock slide. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy. This one does have a threaded barrel on it. Glock 19Xs usually don't come with threaded barrels. This one's already switched out. So it would normally come with a 4.02-inch barrel. That's also called the marksman barrel. So it's supposed to be improved accuracy, improved rifling on the inside of the barrel. It's not a huge difference for the standard everyday carry guy, but it is supposed to be better than the standard. Going to the top, this one here has a standard Glock sights. They've been switched out, but when you get a Glock 19, usually you get 3-dot night sights on here. So those would be good. I mean, I've never had to use a Glock in the dark, but the more options you can get for your money, the better. So standard sights, nothing too crazy. The sight radius is just under 6 inches. So I think that's good enough for everyday carry within 25 yards, stuff like that, which most people aren't using their pistol out past 25 yards. So that should be pretty good for that. Your slide length is about 6.8 inches. So to go over some general dimensions here, your overall length is just under 7.5 inches long. That's without the threaded barrel here. So it would be about 7.5 inches long. Also, this is an extra beaver tail here on the back strap, so it's not as long. It would be a little smaller. So about 7.5 inches, give or take a little bit. Your overall width on the pistol would be about 1.3 inches wide. So standard Glock width there. And your height with the flush mount mag. So let's pop this out. With the flush mount mag, which lines up just about the bottom of here and the bottom of this lanyard here, you would have just under 5.5 inches. So it's a standard, not standard, I would say, so it's compact length, height of a full-size pistol there. If anybody's interested, the trigger distance from the back strap, without this back strap, from the original back of the frame to the trigger is about 2.75 inches. So 2.75 inches for those of you who want to know that. This thing does come with the regular Glock accessory rail here on the front. As you can see, this one has the TLR7A stream light on here, which is a fantastic light, by the way. It fits this thing awesome. This thing is made for this pistol, so it has these shades of color on here to match. I think it looks pretty good on there. I do have this on other pistols, this exact model of light. This thing is awesome. It's a 500 lumen light. As you can see here on the front, you can actually deactivate this thing by turning it a quarter turn, and you can, boom, you feel the detent, this thing turns off. You screw it back this way, cuts right back on. As you can tell, this thing has the little paddles there. So when you have this thing in this grip, you can either activate it like that, or you can activate it with your strong side hand. So I actually really like that light. So moving along, you have your standard slide catch here. Nothing major there, not too pronounced. Stays in there nice. I mean, it's sufficient to do what it has to do. It's not like a competition style. As you can see, it's ambidextrous on both sides. They don't stick out too far, but just enough to do what you have to do. You got your standard takedown pins here. So just like every other Glock, you would pull the slide back at about 1/8 of an inch, push down. I really hate these things because they're so hard to get a good grip on. And then you'd let the slide forward, and bam, you'd disconnect, you'd field strip, you'd clean it. So that's that. Put it back on, you'd go in reverse, line this thing up, boom, you're back in action. So down to this trigger, this thing has almost a flat face trigger. If you guys can see there, it's slightly rounded, but they did get rid of the little grooves that it had on there, the little lines that would run down this thing. So it's a little smoother of an experience there, but they do still have this trigger safety here, safe action trigger. So where you have to defeat this little trigger here in order to go back, because if not, you jam up there. So that's a good feature to have in case you're ever putting this thing away in a holster or anything like that. Anything pushes back on the outside of this thing, it won't go off. You literally have to defeat this trigger and pull back. If I had to guess, this thing's anywhere between 5.5 to 6 pounds. So it makes it a little safer. It's not a light trigger. There's your reset. So this one here, this specific one actually feels much nicer than my Glock 19 or standard Glocks that you get from the factory. Obviously my Glock 19, I switched the trigger out already, but it doesn't feel as mushy as a standard trigger. This one actually breaks pretty clean. So this would be fun to take down and shoot and see how it feels. Moving right along, you have your standard grip here. It's got, I forgot what they call these things. There's a specific name for it, but they're just little raised cubes along the way here. So you got it on the front, you got it on the back. So it does what it has to do. If you hold this thing right, you end up with that little checkering pattern on your hand. You got a standard mag catch here, nothing major. As you can see here, it's just little ridges angled backwards for you to drop that mag. Okay, nothing crazy. As you can tell here, this thing has a little lip on the front. When you put this thing in here, keeps your hands above the mag, so you never slip off this thing. Keeps your hands pushed upwards, so that's a nice little, it's almost like just the front section of a mag well, because the rest of this thing is flush. So a specific or unique feature to the 19X that the 19 doesn't have is this little lanyard loop. I mean, I'm not sure any civilians using this, but you have it there if you need it. I say if you live in an open carry state, hang that thing on your keychains and walk around. Psych, don't do that. Not at all. It's a terrible idea. I was just joking. We'll keep the jokes out of here for now, because somebody somewhere is going to think that that's a good idea, and it's not. And as you can tell while we're talking about the lanyard, can't tell if you can see that little M there. It's the medium-sized backstrap. Usually they come with small, medium, large, depending on the size of your hand. I recommend the backstraps because all of them come with these beaver tails, which allows you to get up high and avoid the Glock bite. Because if not, the back of this shorter, and people can get snake bite from that if you got a really good high grip and that meat bunches up there, meat on your hand. You can get a nice little snake bite there, slide bite, Glock bite, whatever you want to call it. So this is the Glock 19, guys. As you can see here, nothing fancy, nothing crazy, but you got the Glock name. I am a fan of Glock because Glock has built such a reputation to where, you know, when you get this thing out the box, you could put your life on this thing. Your life can depend on this thing. You know this thing will go bang, bang every time. They're not going to give you race guns, competition guns, all the bells and whistles, but you're going to get what they're telling you you're going to get. Dependability, reliability. And I've actually taken this thing to shoot down at the range. Just a side note, I like the way the recoil impulse is on this thing, the felt recoil. It probably has to do with the frame, which is why I think that they like to include this. The bigger frame leads to better control, better recoil absorption. But this thing shoots slightly nicer than the Glock 19. So that's just a little side note, something I noticed. I'll put in some footage of the range if I haven't put it in already. But other than that, this thing is super nice. I like this thing. It's not mine, but I would love to have one like this in the collection just because Glock, baby, all day. So if you have any questions about this, I mean, it's not a huge difference. As you can tell, they went with the Glock 19. The Gen 5, also Gen 2. I mean, no finger grooves. So I like that. I have the Gen 4 Glock 19, which I also like the finger grooves. And I always thought this would be weird, but it's not. It's actually pretty comfortable. This is the magazine that it has. This is, I believe, the 19-round magazine. It has 17 there, but you can put up to 19 rounds in this thing. It comes with a 17-round flush magazine, but you can get 17, 19, 24, 27, 32, whatever you want to get. Glock compatible magazines, they're available everywhere. PMags, other aftermarket magazines, ETS, all those kinds of magazines. I mean, you can get these by the boatloads. They're everywhere. But as you can tell, this is the one that comes with it. Matches the color, all that good stuff. See the logo? There you go. See it there? Here we are, guys, back from the range. I just wanted to give you one last bit of input as far as how this thing shoots. Again, as I mentioned before, I've taken this thing to the range once already. I put a couple more rounds in it today. And as I said before, this thing does what Glock tells you it's going to do. It goes bang every time you pull the freedom button here. It shoots reliably. It's got combat accuracy. It's not a competition pistol. It's not going to hit something at 100 yards with an MOA, but this thing shoots exactly for what you need it to do within 25 yards. This thing will do the job. As much as people love to hate and hate to love it, it does what it's supposed to do. So another reliable piece of machinery here from Glock. Anybody that would buy this, 100% I would recommend it. As I've said for other guns, too big for EDC, especially for me, but some people will put this on their hip. If you're going to open carry duty, 100% I would recommend this thing without a doubt. So that's my take on it, guys. And as I said before, I like the recoil impulse on this thing compared to a regular Glock 19. It holds the recoil a little better. The felt recoil on your hands stays a little flatter. So that's another plus on behalf of this thing here. So that's my take on it, guys. I love you guys. Get informed, get armed, get trained. Above all, Jesus Christ is King. If you have any prayer requests, feel free to email me at allthingscincoedc@gmail.com. I love you guys. Take care. And until the next one,